Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope you're having a fantastic day so far. So recently, the Social Security Administration Commissioner Frank Bisignano made some comments about Social Security, and unfortunately, if those things came true, it would negatively impact millions of Americans who would be receiving Social Security benefits. Thankfully, he is now walking those comments back. In today's video, we are going to be covering everything that you need to know. But before we go ahead and dive into it for today, if you would like to receive up to $200 in free stock or $200 in free cash, in a pinned comment below, I will be leaving a link to Robinhood. All you have to do is once you click on that link is just sign up for a free account and then simply link your bank account. You do not even have to make an opening deposit. At that point in time, Robinhood will be sending you one free stock worth all the way up to $200. And if you'd rather just have the cash, all you have to do is once you receive the free stock is just sell it for what it's worth and then transfer the cash value right back to your bank account. Okay, so diving right into it for today. So once again, recently, the Social Security Commissioner Frank Bisignano made some comments about Social Security and possible cuts that he would not necessarily rule out in order to make the Social Security Trust Fund solvent for a longer period of time. What he was talking about specifically was raising of the full retirement age. It started out first whenever Social Security first began at the age of 65. It then got moved back to 67 later on. That was a pretty unpopular move. And now they're talking about perhaps bumping that up even more, up to perhaps even 69 or 70. And recently, the Social Security Commissioner Frank Bisignano said that he would not rule out the possibility that they were considering raising of the full retirement age. This, of course, was after Trump was running for president. After he became president, he said that he would not cut Social Security. He would not raise the full retirement age. He was firmly against those things. But then we have one of his people that he appointed as the commissioner of Social Security then coming out and saying they might actually raise the full retirement age. So a lot of Americans were really pushing back against the idea. And actually, Frank Bisignano, because of that, he is now coming out and walking back those comments, saying that they do not want to raise the full retirement age. This, of course, is really good news, because if they did raise the full retirement age even up just a couple of years, what that would mean for Americans for lifetime earnings, they'd be losing $100,000 plus over their lifetime because they were delaying receiving Social Security for another couple of years. So this article is from The Hill. They say that Social Security Commissioner Frank Bisignano on Friday walked back his remark made earlier in the day that raising the retirement age was among the entitlement reforms being considered by the Trump administration. In an interview with Fox Business host Maria Bartiromo asked Bisignano if he considered increasing the age for full retirement benefits, which currently stands at 67. He said, quote, "I think everything's being considered and will be considered." Bisignano noted that any change recommended by Social Security trustees, a group that also includes Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr., would need congressional approval. He said, quote, "The White House, which is completely committed to protect and preserve, and then Congress, that's where the real work will happen. And that'll take a while. We have plenty of time," he told Bartiromo. So again, that is a very important statement that he made there. He's saying that basically, the White House can want one thing, but in order for that thing to actually happen, Congress will have to pass it on to their desk. So for example, even if Trump wanted to cut Social Security benefits in half, even if he wanted to raise the full retirement age up to 100, he couldn't just do that via an executive order. It would need to be passed through Congress first. It would have to be passed through the House with at least a majority vote, which Republicans right now have the majority. But in the Senate, it gets much more difficult. In the Senate, they need at least 60 votes out of the 100 senators, and there aren't 60 Republican senators. So Republicans would need Democrats to get on board. Democrats would need Republicans to get on board with any idea that they have. In the Senate, it needs to be a bipartisan piece of work. So obviously, they're not going to be able to pass these measures through that only Trump wants and no Democrats want. It has to be a bipartisan idea here, and right now there is a bipartisan group in in Congress trying to work out a plan to save Social Security. But obviously they do need to get more Republicans and Democrats on board with that idea. We will go into the idea just a little bit later on in today's video, but the article here goes on to say that the Social Security Administration walked back his comments In an afternoon post on X, he said, quote, "Let me be clear, President Trump and I will always protect and never cut Social Security. That's why we have made many vital reforms, such as cutting waste, fraud, and abuse from the program to ensure the insolvency of Social Security for future generations of America." The statement from Bisignano said, and quote, "Raising the retirement age is not under consideration," it added. Projections that Social Security coffers will start running out of money by 2034 have increased pressure for lawmakers to take action to prevent insolvency. But again, they were saying there that clearly they do not want to raise the full retirement age, although that has been one of the things being considered, because right now, again, if Congress does not act come 2032 through 2034, unfortunately, the trust fund is going to run dry. There's not going to be enough money flowing into the trust fund, plus the money already in it, to be able to pay out everyone 100% of their scheduled benefits. You're still going to receive some type of benefit. There's still going to be money flowing into the trust fund because people are still working and paying their payroll taxes. That money is going to be flowing into the trust fund, but there's just not going to be enough money there to be able to pay out everyone who receives Social Security benefits 100% of their scheduled benefit. Because of that, they're going to have to cut benefits across the board by 24%. So if they did raise the full retirement age, that would be one of the ways they could cut Social Security, or they could bring more money into the trust fund by raising taxes on people working. There are many things right now being considered, but the Trump administration is now coming out and saying they are not considering raising of the full retirement age. But again, at the end of the day, it's going to be what Congress comes up with. If Congress sends a bill to their desk that raises the retirement age from 67 up to 69, will Trump veto that bill because he's against cutting Social Security supposedly? We will have to wait and see, but they go on here to say that we have no intent to break a system that can be improved. Bisignano said during a May interview with Bartiromo on Fox News Sunday Morning Futures, he said that team will get together along with Senate and Congress, will ensure that this is here for the next 90 years at least, he said, referring to the trustees and a bipartisan group of senators. The one that I just mentioned a moment ago have proposed setting aside $1.5 trillion for an investment fund to ensure the flow of future benefits, while others have suggested raising the retirement age as a way to cut benefits. Former Social Security Administration Commissioner Martin O'Malley, appointed by then President Biden, warned against such proposals prior to his exit. He said, quote, "Americans want their government to strengthen Social Security and expand it, not to cut it, contract it, or gut its customer service," which again is what O'Malley said at a House Ways and Means Committee in March 2024. He said, quote, "For those who would advocate raising the age, I think we have to be mindful of people who do work hard their whole lives and die sooner." And while on the campaign trail, President Trump caught flack for suggesting potential cuts to Social Security. During a March 2024 interview, Trump told CNBC there was a lot you can do in terms of entitlements, in terms of cutting. But again, Trump has also come out and said that he's firmly against cutting Social Security or raising of the full retirement age. And again, it's going to come down to Congress. And again, we do have that bipartisan plan by Bill Cassidy, Tim Kaine, other Democrats, other Republicans are trying to come up with an idea to save Social Security. You can see up there on the screen their idea that they currently have. So basically what they would be doing, again, they would be taking $1.5 trillion in a separate trust fund. This would be a separate investment fund from Social Security. It would be, no risk to the trust fund itself. They would be growing that over 75 years. And meanwhile, the Treasury would make up for any payments that the trust fund did not have to be able to pay out everyone 100% of their scheduled benefits. After the 75 years, this investment fund would then repay back the Treasury. They'd be seeking an investment return of right around 8 to 10%, what you typically receive in investments in the S&P 500. And they would hope everything would work out. But again, we have to get other members of Congress on board with this idea. Will they be able to get enough Republicans and Democrats on board to pass this bill both through the House as well as through the Senate? We will have to wait and see. But with that said, that's all we have for today's video. I certainly hope that you enjoyed and found value out of it. And I will see you in the next one.